The other area that you mentioned but didn't develop very much is obviously, the great problem for Europe and to some extent for China as well is the Ukraine situation. And in Britain and America, people are often skeptical about China's, sort of desire for peace in Ukraine. And yet China doesn't give Russia any armaments. And I think from what I understand of Chinese interviewers I've been involved with, they're genuinely quite concerned about what will happen if there isn't peace in Ukraine relatively quickly. I wondered what you could say further about China's role with regard to Russia and the Ukraine situation, and whether any kind of peacekeeping role it could play going forward.
At an abstract strategic level, China benefits from the Ukraine war because it takes away American attention. I mean, the crosshairs, instead of being on China, has shifted to Russia. And I think that takes heat away from China. So at that level, they are a beneficiary. China is triangulating. It doesn't want Russia to collapse, because then China will be fully exposed to Western pressure. So it will help to shore up Russia economically. Militarily, it'd rather not get involved. In any case, Russia may not need it. So they rather have an intermediate position where they're close to Russia, but seen as a peacemaker. That is a very good position for China to be in, which is exactly the position they're taking right now. To be a peacemaker, to help Russia economically, to stay close to Russia, and to help develop Russia as a separate pole in a multipolar world. They want Europe to be a separate pole. They know that Europe will always be close to America. But Europe has got its own interests. So they're working separately on Germany, on Italy, on France, on Hungary, on others. That look, you have your own interests. Yes, you're close to the Americans. You need the Americans to defend you. But you need not follow the Americans on all issues, and certainly not on Taiwan. That is Chinese strategy. To have a strong Europe, to have a strong Euro, because this gives them diversification. My own view, if I may be a little speculative, and you will disagree with me, of course, I see the world becoming multipolar. In this multipolar world, China will be a big pole. Russia, a smallish pole, but bristling with weapons. And they'll be quite close to each other. Then, on the other side, you have the American pole, which is very big, also bristling with weapons, and the European pole, which is big, but quite neutered in terms of its military capability. And they will stick together. Then you have India as a separate pole, and there'll be others like Brazil and South Africa and ASEAN as a little cluster, like asteroids clumped together. I think this would be how the world is. And synaptic connections would be very important. They will not be exclusive. They'll all be connections. Singapore will try to have maximum number of connections to all the poles. I think Hungary will also develop synaptic connections in all directions. You see? You can't change how the poles configure because these forces are too big. But whatever the configuration, we find our own connections in order to survive. So this is, for me, a helpful way to look at an unfolding world. And if you know that that's how the world is going, you float in that direction. Then you avoid unnecessary unhappinesses. In that world, the US should be primus inter pares. If I were American, I would help to crystallize such a world. It has always been Kissinger's view.
Yeah.
America should move closer to everybody else. So you have a conflict, I will have the ability to tip it one way or the other, between China and Russia, between China and Japan, between Europe and Russia, move close to everybody. Then you will be the first among equals because you have the culture to do that, because of the English language. And you can achieve primacy with much less effort. Whereas the current tendency to prevent China from rising and to stay dominant, I think is exhausting and financially not sustainable.
姐妹们总烦恼脸上细纹、干燥与暗沉，现在起跟我一起放心交给 KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹系列。KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹系列，它添加5种 EGF， 专门防止肌肤老化，强化皮肤修复，增加肌肤弹性水嫩，轻松抚平皱纹，换回青春自信。KS Royal Face 皇家颜值逆时奇迹，护肤露、全效精华、精华霜，即刻启动冻龄密码。